Dear family members, I feel like I'm much more closer to you because of COVID-19. We get to talk and see each other more often, even though it's online. So I'm very fortunate to be invited by Sister Debbie to be online again with you, especially to talk about vegetarian diets and the importance of its connection with us. I'm not so sure if you're still okay with me talking about this, because the fact that you have heard about me so much. And so I have tried to take some questionnaires from people and try to integrate your questions into my sharing today. And this is the first thing. And the second thing is because of the vegetarian diets, how it's connected with the COVID-19. So I want to share with you, and then hopefully that we will be able to change ourselves because we understand why the important to change, so that we can help others change as well. So then the third thing that I want to share with you, that I have been a vegetarian for 17 years and have done some changes this time. And why am I doing some changes? Not because I'm not vegetarian anymore, but there's some changes in the way that I approach things, and I would like to share with you. So these are the things that I probably will talk more about this time. There are a lot of things that I have started to calculate from Master's teaching since February. And that's when Master started to very, very heavily promote vegetarianism. And why Master is doing that. So from February to now, about 7 months already. Can you imagine, for 7 months, to be able to promote this concept? Just this concept alone has been consistently reinforced, re-emphasized by Dharma Master Ji. You can already tell the importance, the scale of this importance in Master's mind. There are people saying to us that in the past, although I'm already promoting vegetarianism, but then we're still a little bit afraid of promoting it confidently in the public, because the community or the society we're in are not ready. But then now, because of COVID-19, it is not up to us to decide whether it's time for us to be a vegetarian or not. It is time for us to have to become vegetarian. So for this 7 months, Master have said to us more than 500 times, I have counted, over this concept. Imagine this concept that have been repeatedly emphasized for more than 500 times. The scale of importance is not something for us to underestimate. So for one time, or second time, or 2 times, or 3 times, you want to convey this value or message to someone who don't probably care, would you continue to do that, even knowing that it can be very troubling to others or might not be very well accepted? But then this did not make a difference in Master's minds, because she continued to talk about it for 500 times because of its importance. Because at this time, we were talking about this vegetarian diets, and Master said, if you want to quickly give information, it's just like taking a very hot and heated stone and pour hot water on top. It can quickly vaporize. The water can, the heated stone cannot possibly reduce the temperature. In fact, the water cannot be absorbed. What will happen is that the realization of applying the water and how much water and the temperature of the water is what we need to learn. Same thing. What I learned was that the importance of continuously instill this value and this concept, drop by drop, little by little, to make sure this water can be very well absorbed by this heated storm, so the temperature can reduce. It's just like us. The attached stigma or habitual tendency that has been with us of objecting for vegetarianism will have to take time to break down, because without understanding the importance of taking up vegetarian diets, it will be difficult for them to make changes of their actions. So even they understand, it would take a while. So therefore, how to put the understanding and realization in action is a process. Some of us say, for those who already know, wouldn't have no problem taking up vegetarian diet. For those who know and still refuse, there's nothing you can do about it. Yes, I have thought about it. But then, should I stop just because of that? No, I shouldn't. Because there must be time, there must be opportunity, there must be affinity for this to happen. So therefore, I need to find out more way to get to that. There must be things that make impact or a difference in the way to thinking or hearing, and so they will affect your action. So therefore, how to turn our knowledge into wisdom is very important. And how we do that? What is the first step? You first have to have knowledge. How do we obtain the knowledge? So other than just reading and getting it, you have to integrate yourself among the people so that you can know more about knowledge, know more about information, and how those information knowledge being applied among people. So then you understand how to gain another level of understanding. So then you will know how to apply it. So this process of turning and understanding require wisdom. So this is how the evolution of turning the knowledge into wisdom evolve. So therefore, everything take the first step, require the very first step. Just like Master have shared with us, 2443. What is 2443? It's every second that everyone need to be aware of what happened. We have to first understand the relationship between karma retribution, the cause and the condition, and everything that's involved. And many have said, we all know, we all understand, but then we have done it, so what? Others are not. Master say, no, you have to continue to use your wisdom, to use your knowledge, and to reach out to them. So then, therefore, every second of 2443 will not only become a problem continuously, will become an effective number that can continue to move forward to make positive impact. So then this problem that has been created by the people in the world can be solved by the people in the world, because of this communal knowledge of ours can also help us cultivate and elevate and reveal this wisdom of ours. Once we understand, realize, we have put into action, we're not only able to protect ourselves, but then to form good affinity with all sentient beings. And this kind of a relationship can be shared with others. And so therefore, this is why I want to share this with you here, to let you know that because of the action you have taken, start from this very step, not only protect you and safeguard you, but then help you accumulate merits and blessings. And these blessings and merits will continue to safeguard you. So to promote vegetarianism, it requires the same process, same journey, same type, same level of wisdom. So how we are applying it, how we can talk about things in the appropriate time, using this appropriate example, and using the right concept and right approach will matter. Because this is why this connection will start, and this impact will start to take place. It's just like we have heard, when people wanted to go out there to promote vegetarianism, without preparing themselves, without taking any information, without integrating themselves, without internalize this all possibility and improvise it in advance, how are they able to reach out to people that might have just a second or two of encounter with them? or even if they were giving hours of encounter with the person, this kind of impact would not take place. So this is something that will require our persistence, our determination. If we cannot make this happen today, does that mean that we should stop today? No, think about what Master have done from February until now. Did she discontinue? Did she discontinue just because not everyone is vegetarian now? Did she discontinue is because we somehow cannot put every one of her teaching into action? No, she didn't. So as her disciple, we say we want to learn from her, and this is what we need to learn as well. Just like the mask, that it has somehow helped us and protect us globally. Still, people in the United States would refuse to put a mask over your mouth because why? We don't know. But masters say to us, this mouth of us is very important. It does not only nurture us, but also take in a lot of things that can be dangerous to our health and our body and our mind. Same thing. Things that come out from this mouth can also be dangerous and harmful to others' mind and soul and body. So therefore, we need to really be grateful for this mask that somehow can help us think again or help to protect us and to safeguard us, as well as to safeguarding ours. This is the process that we can understand why it is important for us to think again and to use our mind to safeguard our mouth. And this continue to make a big impact, not just because the food that we take in, not the air we breathe in, but then also the environment we're living in. Like a picture we're showing, this big fire that has been taking place since August in California, just like the wondrous Lotus Sutra have told us, with this world looking like with a field of a fire that's so prevalent throughout this world that we're living in. Just like every one of us who are currently surrounded by wildfire everywhere, but we're not realizing the dangers it can be to us. The heat and the temperature that's rising can actually take away our life, but we still take joy of enjoying ourselves. It's very much the same. These connections that I have shown you, it's not so disconnected. It's not so disconnected just because it was Buddha Dharma or just because the United States, just because we're not having this COVID-19 as serious in Taiwan so that we don't have to have everyone put a mask on or anything like that. It's not disconnected. Everything is connected. It is not because it's disconnected. It's because we refuse to understand the connection. It is because we refuse to understand. And so therefore, we try to find an excuse to say that we can't possibly do it. Is it because we really can't do it? Or is it because we don't want to believe it? Or is it because we believe it, but then we have a difficulty of changing it? Or is it because we have a difficulty changing it, so then we say that we can't possibly do it? We are the one who understand all this. We are also the one who understand what it takes for us to change. I suppose there are some elements to why we are changing. It's because we have to realize the benefits of changing. And so we will continue. Or maybe we will realize the dangers, the harm. So maybe we will change. As people say that the gambling is not good, and some of them will stay away from gambling. But then a lot of people also know gambling is not good, but are they able to stay away from gambling? Same thing. When we know about things that are harmful to us, beneficial to us, we start to think about whether this harm or this benefit will affect not only us or people around us. So then we realize all those things that's important to us, can it be populated? Can it eventually make a big impact among us? So therefore, With those four elements that I have somehow put together, I felt the importance of telling you. This is closely connected with vegetarianism. And this is why Master continued to tell us, because we feel the benefit of becoming vegetarianism, to take up the vegetarian diet. We understand this is not only help us eliminate negative affinity with sentient being, to safeguard our health, but then we'll stay away from the harm of those possible antibiotics or drugs and stuff like that is being injected into the animals, and then affect the people around us, bring health to them, and protect them, then gradually make an impact positively. So this concept requires us to change in order to turn into action. And without this action, it would be difficult for us to turn into habits. So with this in mind, we understand this desire, this mindset, is the origin of a habitual tendency. This kind of habitual tendency will make a habitual, continuous impact. It will decide the way of that we live our life, the life journey to the world travel. And then together, with every one of us like this, we know if one person changed their mind, the attitude will change. With the attitude change, action will change. With action will change, the impact, influence will change. So from micro community to macro community, gradually, this big impact will continue, will make a ripple effect. Same thing with the children, whose responsibility it is for the child's concept or habits of their intake. Because since the child is born, they face their parents. There is their parents that feed them the food. So what kind of food did the parents feed them? Entails the value that is integrated in the parents' concept. So therefore, it is very important for us to know what we feed the child, because our parents are supposedly, especially mother, is the most trusted person in this world to the child, to the very child, that toddler or infant. So therefore, anything that's given by the parents, especially mother, will be the most trusted resources, most trusted food. So, as we all know, as the baby comes to this world, still at a stage you're not able to touch or to connect with this world so much physically. Parents are their main caregiver. Whatever the parents give them, again, it's what they will have, including the way they talk, the way they interact, things they eat, and then things they do. So as a mother, your action matters, your habits matters, your thoughts matter, your desire matters. And because of all this, we need to be more aware of our actions. We gradually or instantly show the child what is the animal and what is sentient being and what are the food. So if we're telling the child or showing the child this specific sentient being in front of us is food, then of course the child is going to think so. If you tell the child or show the child or give the child the range of food that is not animal based, then of course this child is going to grow with the concept, the initial concept or understanding of the food they take is non-animal related. So with this example, I'm sure you know what I'm trying to say.
So if we taught our kids that the food that we eat how it comes to our table, like for example the fish that if we told them that they have parents and then the fishermen caught them and bring them to the market, and in order to keep them fresh, we keep them on ice, and then then sell them to a different family. If you ever
很多的
tell
时候，当我们
kids
讲说
that,
孩子的
do you
心
think they would
一
eat
开
it?
始是最纯净的，当他感受到动物要受苦我才能吃
So
这
is
口
that
肉的时候，
something
他就
that we
开
may
始
need to
愿意
teach
去放
our children that in the future, let
所以
them
我
know
希望
where
所
our
有
food
所有的
comes
妈
from?
妈在建立观念的这样的一个想法里面，是不是我们一
So
起跟孩子
in
们
that
成
way,
长，一起让孩子能够理
because
解
we all know that
观
kids'
念
hearts are
到
always
底是
most
怎么形
pure.
成，
If
就
they
像这只
feel
大
that
象一
the
样，
the
大象明
animals
明很
are
大，对不
suffering
对？
so that we
这
can
个小
have
小的
this
木桩
meal,
怎么能
what
够
would they
困住
think?
大象呢？
So
所以我要问
as a
现场
family,
的
we
家
may
人，
need to
为什么这只大象为什么不拔
shape their
桩就不
thoughts,
跑
shape
了？
their behavior.
我相信很多人心里
And
有
just like
一
this
定有答案，
elephant,
对不对？
an elephant is
就是
huge,
因
but
为
this
这个
little stake in the
它被
ground,
制约
how
了
do
嘛，对不
we
对？
keep this
对，好，它被
elephant
制
in
约。那它
place?
为什么被制约？
I have to
当
ask
你如果
everyone
小
here,
的时候
why didn't the elephant just pull the
为
stake
了
and
要
run away?
驯服它的野性，为了要
I
保
think a
护
lot
它
of
的
you
妈
may
妈，让
have
它
an
太小
answer
心
in your
用
heart,
木桩
in
把
your
它绑
mind.
住。那当然，它被绑住的时
We
候，
all
像被
think
绑
this
住不甘
elephant
心就要
must
挣
be
脱嘛，那是
confined.
它力气小。这只木桩对
And
他来
why
讲
is
就是他
this
的前
elephant
途，
confined?
他发现他怎么努力
Because
都没有办法挣脱
while
出
this
来。
elephant was young and
但是
was
随着时间，
little,
他一
in
天一
order
天的长
to
大，他就
change
发
their
现
behavior, we have
这个
used
木
many
桩永远
different
都只是在
ways
他的
to
生活上，
confine them, to
所以
keep
在
them
他
in
的心里已
place.
经种下了这样的观念：我
So
一辈子没有办法
as
脱
they
离
grow
这个
up,
木
they
桩，
may
即便
think
他
that
很
this
小，这
stake
么
on
大
the
的这个
ground
大
is
象，
all that they
他
have,
还是
all
觉得
that
他没有
is
办法
their
挣
world.
脱去
And
跳
they
脱。
may
这
realize
个就
that
是我们观念的一个
this stake is
从小建
always
立的
in their
观
life.
念，会影响
So
我
in
们
their
长大
hearts
之
and
后
its
的行
mind,
为。
it
这
is
个就
something
是
that can
为什么
never
我们一直希望说建立一个正确的观念，
never
不
pull
是
out, never
改
let
变
go.
了我们的
Even
观念，
though
我
as
们
it
才有
grows
办法
up,
去
it
改变我们
has the
去
power to
调
pull
整
it
我
out.
们的生活
It
态
just
度跟
couldn't,
方
it
式。
just didn't
我
know
们不要
how
被
to.
制约的，
So
也不要
the
被固
thoughts,
化。
the behavior
很
that
多的以
we
前我们
nurtured
认为
when they're young
传统
has a great
留下来
impact
给
as
我
they
们的
grow
东
up.
西，
If we
我
can,
们应该
if
要去
we
思考是
bring
对的还是不对的。就像
a
最近我们看到的这样的一个故
correct
事，如果
mindset
上礼拜
to
大家
them,
有听主题
a
的，就
positive
提到了
mindset to
阿里
them,
的这个故
and
事，对不对？
we may
那
able to
神
free
猪的
them
这样的一个故
from
事，
the
在
different
台湾的
thoughts.
民间是十分的流传
A
的。
lot of
有
things
时
that
候
we
在民
thought as
间，在
traditions, we
农
may
历的
need to
7月15
reevaluate.
号的时候呢，就会
For
有一个
example, one
比
of the
赛
stories
是
that we
就是
saw
爬山。
earlier,
我想可能美国的家人比较了解。
some people
爬
may
山
have
当然就
heard
请这个当地的美
the
国人，
sacrificial
对，山
pig
猪是什
in
么？
Taiwan,
其实它就是一
the
个
story of a
概念，
sacrificial
是
pig in
从以
Taiwan.
前传下来
Because
的。本来
traditionally
是在某一个
in
村
the
庄，他
lunar
们在
month of
祭神的时候
July,
是
July
先用
15th,
鸡
there
啊，
is always
小的鸡而已，然
a
后呢去
sacrifice,
腌它，腌了它之后呢
and
来
as
祭
one
神。
of the
那
activity
日据
is
时代
a
的时候，我们台
competition
湾啊，
of the
那时候
fattest
受
pig.
日本的统治，
Now
所以呢，日
this
本的
always
人呢就
been
开始呢
a
去
tradition in
鼓励
in
去
some
扶植，大家
villages.
都这样子做。那
Before
当然
they
就
will
形成一种
have
氛围。到了
they
7
have
月中元节的时候呢，就要做这件
chickens.
事
They
情。
will raise the
但是做的
chickens
这个
and
过
use that
程
as an
呢，
offering.
慢慢就发现了，哎，不
Now
对，
in the
鸡太小了，
during the
太晚
Japanese
大了，所以就开
occupation
始换
area
猪，你知道吗？
era,
他一换猪就不得了了，他们就开始在想
the
说，我
the
要把我的
Japanese
猪
were
养到
thought
最大值，
were
然后
teaching
呢，
people
养得
to
越
do
大，
that,
要
and
奉献给神明，
more
那
and
就
more
代表说我愿
villages
意，
started to
如果我的
follow
猪
and
被献
started
上，
to
那
practice
我就能
offering
够得
chickens.
到神明
But
的
later
回
on,
馈
people
这样子。
noticed that chickens are
这
too
样的一
small.
个
They
传
decided,
统
so
的
they
习俗
changed it to
就
pigs
在民
because
间
pigs are a much bigger
所以呢，
offering. They
当
thought that the bigger
每年的
the
7月
pigs,
15
the bigger the
他们就
offering,
有
the
计划的去
bigger
挑
the
选
merit, bigger the
适
blessing.
合养成这个神猪的这个开始之
So
日。
this
这
thought,
养
this
的过程是很
tradition
痛苦的，怎么说呢？大家可以
has
看到，
become
给他们吃东
part
西啊，是不
of
是你
their
要不
cultural
要吃的
practice.
问题啊？
So every
是
year,
你要不要吃，我都要灌你。
they
所以呢，就它
systematically
的体
pick
重会是
a
正常猪
pig
的7
that
倍，那你
could
能想它的脚就
that
这
were
么的
able
细，
to
身
grow
体这
into
么的
this
大，对不
gigantic
对？
size.
然后呢，我们都有去吃过欧洲的
And
感
as they
觉，对不
feed them, it's not about whether you want to eat them. It's regardless of whether you want to eat or not, we have to force feed you. So they created a pig that's 7 times heavier than a normal pig, force feeding them. As we all have been to buffets, right? And we all know how that works. Right? You see all these dishes, and you want to taste everything. But after you pass the buffet bar 1 time, 2 times, after 3 times, you kind of run out of your options and run out of appetite. So you're not so interested in eating anymore. And you may even feel that you feel disgusted watching the food. are looking at the food. So can you imagine that once you're full and you don't want to eat, but you're force fed? This pig is just like that. And if you're not eating, well, I'm just going to force it down your throat. So a lot of time when we're young, we always thought that we want to live a life that we don't worry about the food that we eat, or we have an endless amount of food. It doesn't seem to be so beautiful now, right? Now, finally, when they grow up, when it's time for the competition, when time for the offering, um, we have to ask the pig, are we treating them as a sacred offering or we still pick them as a pig? And so if we treat them as a sacred thing, uh, we sincerely offer them. But as we take that knife and slit the throat, what would you think the pig would feel? And in order for the pigs to be calm, a lot of times these pigs are sedated. So as the pigs watch the knife coming at its throat, for that one moment, if I was there, tied up, held down, what would I feel when that knife is coming at me, about to slice me up? All that, all your life kind of flashes before your eyes. Your your thoughts, your hatred, and that 1 second just released. So at the end, after this pig was slaughtered and offered, everyone shared a piece of the pig. And it's traditionally a sign of offering. Like as you eat the pig, you receive the blessings of the deity that you're praying to. So as this practice goes on, people start to question: is this really humane? Is this really what we're trying to do? Is this really a way of getting blessing? So fortunately, this year in July, we finally see a change. People said that they will no longer kill the pigs. Instead, they made piggy banks. They used a little piggy bank instead of a real pig. And people started to adopt the piggy banks and will use the funds for public welfare. And just like the ways before, every month they would weigh the pig, measure the progress, keep track of it. And we all know that love carries some weight. The more love you put in there, the more coins you put in there. Even though love itself could be formless, you still make a positive change in your life, in your lifestyle. So before, if something people may feel really cruel, it has become a very cute, even a joyous event. So before we see a pig that was all tied up, now we see pigs that are little piggy banks that were carried. So what happens to the knife, right? So you see now that these knives are brought up, it's no longer to cut the pigs, but just to break the piggy bank and share the wealth, share the love, and people become more joyful of the situation. So as the Mahatma Gandhi once said, the greatness of a country or the merit of the nation, it depends. It can be it's visible. It can be witnessed from the way that you treat the animals there. So we can see in Taiwan that the how we treat the animals are slowly making a positive progress. And we also question I have a question for you. What is the most beautiful time in your life? That is the time when that you gain a realization and when you keep that realization. And from that, we can, if you have the realization, then you pay attention to what's going on around the world. So today, I would like to bring that realization for everyone. If you have been a vegetarian already, then can you keep on considering what will be our next step? When can you consider being a vegan?
This is Ava. She's an egg-laying hen. You meet her at a dire moment in her life. She has just been thrown into a pulper, a machine designed to grind her up, along with the other hens whose egg production has declined. So here she is, with her legs in the machine. But let's start at the beginning. This is Ava's first memory, the noise of machines and the feeling of being jostled inside an egg. Here she is, as a newly hatched baby chick, surrounded by noise and chaos. She chirps for her mother and tries to make herself heard atop 1,000 other little calling voices. But their voices go unheard too. Suddenly, she is pulled onto an assembly line, and everything speeds up. There are hands everywhere, grabbing and tossing the chicks. Ava and the other female chicks are destined to lay eggs when they mature, so they are allowed to live. But their brothers are all thrown into the machine in the middle and disappear. They are killed shortly after birth because they cannot lay eggs. Eventually, Ava and the other chicks are thrown into new boxes and then rolled onto a big truck. Here she is in her new home. Everything around her is made of metal, and she shares a cage with 50 other chicks. It is very cramped, and there is never peace and quiet. The chicks are all just babies and not ready to lay eggs, but their life behind bars has already begun. Ava will live here for 18 weeks until she begins to lay eggs. This is Mia. She is one of the smallest chicks in the cage, and she will not survive. There is nothing to do in the cages, and everyone is stressed, so some chicks become aggressive and peck at her wounds. This is Ava at 9 months old. One morning, when she had begun to lay eggs, she was pulled out of her old cage and moved into this one. There are 8 hens in this cage now, but it is still so tight and cramped that they cannot even stretch their wings. The shed is completely closed off, so they never see the sun or feel fresh air. It is as if they live inside a giant machine. Food is transported inside on one conveyor belt, and the eggs are carried out on another. Every day, the workers pull dead bodies out of the cages. They are thrown in heaps at the front of the shed, as if they were garbage. That is all there is to tell about the life of Ava and the other hens. Life as an egg-laying hen. So here she is, spent, thrown away. This is the first time she sees the sun, feels the warm summer breeze, breathes the fresh air, and this is where she says goodbye. If this had been any other day, Ava's story would have ended here. But on this particular day, right at this spot, right at this moment, I reached out my hands and pulled Ava out of the machine. This is Ava's story. She was unbelievably close to dying, but was saved at the very last moment. She has found freedom at a sanctuary and can now, finally, live the happy life of a happy hen, a life she should have had from day one. Ava's life has changed entirely. She now has the will to live and has regained her trust in people. Her favorite food is corn, which she likes to eat sitting on my lap. Ava is a sweet and curious hen. She spends a lot of time playing on top of this pile of straw bales, and she loves to dig into it. If the other hens care to join in, it's twice the fun. When new hens move in, she is always the first one to approach them. Then she clucks calmly, as if trying to tell them that everything will be fine now. That now, life begins. If Ava's story has touched you, please act now and help other hens like her. Please never buy eggs or food that contains them. And share this film. Thank you for watching.
好，这就是我今天要跟大家讲的第二个主题了哈。很多的时候，我们开始再去思考一个行为的时候，内心都有一些答案。那譬如说，我们最近在推素，那推素呢，一些还没有吃素的人，我们去跟他邀约的时候，就像我们。
So this is the second theme I would like to share with you guys. A lot of times when we reevaluate our behaviors, we may find a different end. different
但是呢，我
answer
们去思
and
考
hard.
说，为什么
When I
在响应的
started
过
promoting
程，有人没有
vegetarianism,
办法
when
去
I
抓一
invited
个合常的
friends
心，他
and
只
some
愿意
people
在
who
一个
haven't
时
been a
间里面，
vegetarian,
他要去吃素。
and it's just like
这
we
是
shared
给我
earlier
深刻
before
的
that,
一个
like
体
in
会。
the
为什么
US,
上
do we
人一
have
直觉得说，
mustered more
如
than
果
a
你自己
million
的早
vegetarian
餐
meals?
是没有办法
Yeah,
去
which is a
改
great
变，
result,
尤其是
but
他在一天
sometimes
里
we
面
have to
三
look
餐，
back
他
and
只
see
只
that
有
when
一
we are
天
doing
吃
this,
一餐吃素，两
are
餐
we
没有吃的，
really
或是两餐
are
吃
we
素，三
truly
没吃。
realize the
其实
reason
那
why
都不
we're
是
doing
真
it?
正的发自内心
If you're
好
just collecting a meal,
的一个概念，就会让我
you're
开
not
始去思考
making
说，
a
我们在这个推
change.
素的这个
If you're just
过
say
程里，为什么
collecting
跟
one
上人
meal
这样
out of their
的
lives, if people just
因为上
vow
人
for
很清
one
楚知道，
or two
如
meals
果我
through the
没有办
day,
法让他完
that's
全
not
去
a
理解，他可能
real decision
他
to
答应
be
来吃素，有
adopting
几个原
vegetarian
因，可能
lifestyle.
是他也觉得这是好事，所以
So we
知
may
道
need
环
to
境不好，
think
所以他愿意出点心。
that is there a gap
第二个，他
between
不
what
觉得
we're
说，啊，你的
doing
条
and
约
what
我给你这
Master
个
was trying to
报告，
promote?
我给你一个
Because
规
Master
矩，那我们
has a very clear
很
vision.
康的开始在数时间，好像我们当兵在数馒头一样，终于圆
Because
满了，因为
some
看
people
到
may
了
have
说
thoughts
答应
that
吃一个月该吃一个月，
that you know
就
they
是
know
吃
that
一个
we
月，
are going through a
看
difficult
了人
time
可能发愿
and
吃
they
一
just
个月
they
的
wanted
全
to
素，或
do
是吃一个
a
月的
little
素
part
食。
of it,
当第30 天
but they
圆
were
满，
just
第
doing
33
it
天的时候，他们
just
就
counting the
在
days
Facebook 上 po 出来说，
until
我
they
完成我
finally
的任务了，
satisfied
今
their
天
vow.
去庆祝一下。之
And
前
we've
一
seen
直
people
不
who
要
have
回来。
vowed or
那我
pledged
看到这样子，
for
我
a
就
day,
不会
a
了，是不
week,
是
or a
就把你
month.
之前没有吃的都
After a
再
month,
吃回来呢？
when
所以这
after
个就是会落入
30
一种
days,
大家在思维
they
上
post
说
on Facebook that they have accomplished their
感觉上我
their
们好像
pledge
达成
and
目
decided
标
to go
了，
celebrate
见
and
数，
to catch up on what
但
they've
是
been
我们
missing
没
over
有
the
真
past
正达
months.
到，让
So
他
now
理
if
解
you're
为什么
just catching
一定
up,
要做这件
then
事
if
情
you
的最
then
内在最重要的
you're
部
not
分。
really making a
那
difference.
尤其是吃 vegan 这
So
样的一
it's
件
kind of
事
way
情，
we think that
所以改变
even though we may be
要怎么样
achieving
才
our
能够改
goal
变？
in
要
the
不断
numbers,
强化与它切身相关
but
的
we
价值
lost
观，
the
但是要真正的改变，
idea
是要
behind
修
these
饰生命
actions.
后所
So what is within us
你
is
才会
really
真正的改变。
it's
那对
really
于我
it's
而
what's
言，
really
就是在今
important,
年在推
especially
素的
going
过
through a
程，因为
vegan
我吃素已
diet.
经27年，我吃蛋奶素已经吃
The
27几
way
年。
we change
在
it
今年在
is
推素的过
to
程，我为了要去找一个数据来支持说吃荤跟吃素的碳排量、碳排放到底是差多少。于是我就开始上网找，我就记得我就看到了这一张图表，然后看到这张
I
图表
have
之后，
been a
我就开始想
vegetarian
我是
for
落入在哪一个？那我就是蛋
27
奶素，
years.
所以我应该
So
是
then
落入
I
在倒
thought
数。
to come up with this
当我看到 正常
concept of
饮食价
trying
值
to
类的
understand
每
more
人
about
每年
why there's a
有
difference
2000
between
多公斤
vegan
的
and
碳排放的
vegetarian.
时候，我来
And
看
because
蛋奶
I
素
am
竟然有
vegetarian, so
高
then
达了
I should fall within the
1280
scale
公斤。
here on the third
当时真的
column.
吓一跳，
And
我离
supposedly, I would
均衡
have
饮食的
been the
这样的一
person who
种概
produced
念
about
超过
2,000
少
kilograms of
大概
carbon
顶多800
dioxide
公克
a year
800
just because of being a vegetarian alone. So then I was very
那
shocked.
这样真的算，我那时候心
I
中真的
was
是
so
揪了一
far
下，
off on the
这样子我
balanced
真的算是
diets,
有做到保护
and
环境。
in
但只
fact
是我
that
在
I was
整理
only
每
a
次
little
在
bit
整理素食
800
的
kilograms
资料的时候，我都不知道，
short
但我
from
另
the
外是
people who eat
半成
everything else.
但
So
那时
I
候
was
在我的
rather
心里
shocked. It's
想的
like,
是，我没有去吃到
so
含
with
肉
this
的
kind of
食
a
物，
diet,
那就是一
can
个
I
真正的
really
吃
be
非
very
的。
confident in saying that I'm a vegetarian
但
that
是
has
我在
helped
不断的跟我
trying
内
to
心
reduce
在
carbon
突
footprints
破
and
自我
stuff
催
like
眠
that?
的时
And
候，
you
我
know,
跟我告诉他说，
and
这样就已经算是
thought that I have not
从
taken
吃素。
any food that has
但是
contained
其
any more
实也不
products
可否
to
认
to
的，
my
但
best
在整理
knowledge,
的
but
时
then
候，
the
我也知
eggs
道
and the dairy
牛
that
奶
I
是
have
因为
taken
强
when I was
迫
trying
牛
to
妈妈
hallucinate
受孕把
myself
孩
and
子
trying
带着，
to,
我们才愿意
persuade
吃。
myself
鸡
that
蛋
what
是
I'm
因
doing
为
is
刚
good,
刚
that I
看到了
failed
蛋
to
黄的
realize that
故事，它被囚禁在一个
I
小
was
小
still
的
taking eating dairy products. I was still taking milk that were being forced out of the mother cow. And I was still taking eggs from chicks or chickens, very much like Ava and her brothers who were being killed seconds after birth. So therefore, because of those dairy products and egg products, though that I did not eat meat of the animals, but then realize for myself alone, I really have not done what I wanted to do for this world, for this earth, I still have committed this level, a significant level of destruction to this world. In fact, that I am very, very close to people who ate everything. So therefore, there is still a big lag between me and the vegan. So when people come to me and asking me to think about stepping up to become vegan, I have to say that I did reflect about my intake. So when I told them that I'm very close to it because I have, I don't eat pina coladas all the time. I don't take dairy products all the time, blah, 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 blah. But when people say to me, if you really want to be a true vegetarian diet advocate, that's the case. And in addition to what my wife have witnessed, she also told me that she want to become a vegan fully. And then at that time, I have started to have different diets from hers. But though at the same time, I realized I should start to change. However, my speed of changing to becoming a vegan hesitated. So when I talk to myself, if I have become a vegetarian for 27 years, what is the gap? What is the hindrance that stop me from becoming a vegan? So therefore, I have decided to become a vegan now. And so therefore, when I see people started to have cookies and pizzas and all kind of things that used to be our normal daily intake as a vegetarian, made some changes again, because I will start to ask them, oh, is it contain egg? Does it contain milk? So people start asking me, so does that mean you have lost weight? Well, actually, maybe it didn't really make a big impact as far as my weight is concerned, but the impact that it actually have made is this actually this world and those animals that have contributed to the milk or have been forced to lay eggs. Overall, I wanted to share with you, if you have become vegetarian for a while, so maybe you want to think what I have to share with you today. From my personal experience and yours, maybe we can think about becoming a vegan so that we can be more closely connected with this world, and we can start to take into raw egg, and we maybe can avoid taking honey or a bird's nest. For a lot of Asians who think bird's nest is very nutritional products for caring for the skin, but same as honey, a lot of time people think those are nutritional products, so therefore we take them. Think about the bees, they harvest so earnestly so that they can feed their mother queen and to store for the future. But then we have relentlessly took over and enjoyed them. So this is something that I thought to share with you, to remind you, just like to remind myself. Same thing with any leather products or fur products, and even cosmetic products, skincare products that contain a lot of animal ingredients. So those are the things that we don't know, but then has directly, indirectly put these animals in danger and harm as well. I'm not saying, and then I'm not here to tell you that you're right or wrong, or you have committed a crime or not, but I'm only sharing with you what I have experienced, and then I thought that maybe this sharing can make an impact in you, just like it had with me. So it's just an apple here or a piece of a meat right here. Which one would you choose? It's your body who will be able to reflect and then to give the most honest reflection. To me, I have to say it. If it was placed in front of me, an apple or a piece of meat, each one of you can also make your honest choice and on your own at the other end of the terminal. But to me, I have asked so many people that I know. Every one of the people I know is saying apple. Why? because no one would actually eat a piece of raw meat. Well, some people say, what about, sashimi? They're raw fish. Yeah, in the true, some people do that. But then think about it. It is really not easy to take it because think about a lion or a tiger, when they harvest their food, whether that is a deer or a goat. Think about it. They will take the meat alive, that animal's life alive, and they eat them. And maybe it will last for many days. But then imagine us, if they are able to do that, doesn't mean that we can, because the way that the physical anatomy is structured. So because the stomach acid were able to digest or stay, and then their teeth is much more sharp. So then everything that come together with their body anatomy are fit to be, able to eat those animals, but not like us. We are very different. Our innate, our original human beings do not come with this are not equipped with this functions to enable us to take meat, because there are a lot of different herbs, a lot of vegetables, a lot of things that are available to us. And then often that we found, in order for us to take in this piece of a meat and turn it into a steak, require a lot of spices. So there's actually the spice or the sauces that is stimulating our taste buds and our palates to make it edible and delicious. Not like the animals in living in the wild that they were the predators. They're taking the lives of other animals. They can eat them raw, alive. It's because so therefore a lot of time, because we want to come up with excuses and a lot of reasons for us to feel good about taking lives of other animals. So we would say that we already take a lot of the vegetables, we already take a lot of fruits, and also the doctor or who and who so-and-so say this is much healthier for me, and things like that. So same thing. People also ask, what is the difference between taking the plant-based diets from the animal-based diet? It is the same thing. We should not being so selfish and thinking that the plants do not have consciousness. We know there is a limited consciousness, yes, for the plants, and then we shouldn't abuse it either. Okay. Though that we still take the vegetables, we still end their lives just like we take the animals. But then the fact is, because the limited consciousness and the kind of a suffering that they have to bear, and the anger and resentment that they will have, is eliminated. It's different from the animals. Also because of this difference we have, and we also have to continue to survive. So then we have taken a plant-based diets. But then if you were to do the same thing with the animals, it would be very different. If you were just to cut the legs or the arms off, then they would not be able to live. However, it's very different from the plants or the vegetables. If you were to trim the twigs from the trees or the plants, then they would promote the growth of the new spike, or new leaves, or new, so then they were able to enable them to bear new fruits. So therefore, this is also another aspect of difference. And also at the same time, because the awareness of understanding the way the plant-based diets require a lot of plants, seeds, and leaves, and would not discontinue their life, because we only take the leaves, or we only take their seeds, or we only take their fruits. So this is why we're able to continue with this diet. There are times that we question how come there are certain different plants will grow in different places. And some people saying that why are there plants, growing in this place where there is the cliff or in the semi-desert area and things like that? It's because their wind blows, or people who travel, the voyagers, that they probably have taken an apple and then spit the seed, and so therefore, an apple tree will grow at the place that's the most unlikely to have. And same thing with the birds. They will, because they take the fruits of so then it will able to carry from one location to another. And so because of that, this is how the plants populate. This is how the plants were able to pass down the species. And though this kind of a process is very different from the animals, where they are very mobile. So as I said to you before, if we was taking the arms or legs of the animals, it's impossible for them to regrow another arm and another legs. What will happen is you will just let them bleed to death. And it's impossible for us to think that because of that, we can take this arm or legs to another location, and then another animals will be reborn at that location. So this is sort of differences that I was trying to share with you. And also because the resentment and the anger and the animals is also what make impact in the way we are when we take in their life and the meats. So some people say that the vegetarian, you should not take spices like chives or onions and garlics, and there are times that when we live in or we go to a closed door community, just like yesterday I went to Taipei and I took the train there, and then when I came to take the train back to Taipei. It was between the time of dinner time. And I think there was a person who sat right next to me. We're having this rice dumplings filled in with the tuna. And when that odor, or I should say the aroma or the smell emitted in the air, it started to make me feel uncomfortable, very much like the cigarettes smoke or the alcohol smell for people who are non-alcoholic or non-alcohol drinker, or who are sensitive to the smoke, then you will have very same reaction as I feel. Some of them said that we shouldn't have the spices, the chives and the garlic, the onions, and and other spices. It's because of its natural odor or natural smell to emit it. Whenever you take them, then this kind of odor will emit from your mouth. And same thing, because of that, you will have when you speak, when you give a teaching, this kind of odor will prevent the people from getting close to you. And the same thing with those so-called ghosts or other lives in different realms who are very happy with this kind of sense or spices, the smell will come close to you. So that is really, again, depending on you to decide whether you want to take it or not. We would strongly encourage people to not do so because of that. Of what I have to share with you, we would. And then plus, if we don't take those spices, it is, we can still live rather healthily. So therefore, I want to share with you the difference and for you to make a choice. Here, I want to bring this number up again, 2443. We know this number has been repeatedly emphasized and talked about, 2443, but exactly what does it mean? It means that every second, this number of life is being slaughtered. And this is what Master have said to us and reminded us as we talk about COVID-19. We think this is only a virus that's here to eliminate the human being, but we don't think about why is it here. Just like when we took away the lives of a 2443 animal lives, those animals did not know This so-called virus that looking like human beings are there to take their lives away. So what's the difference between them and us found the COVID-19 virus? There's no much difference because we're all there to take life away from the animals. So therefore, because the time is running out, there's still a lot I want to share with you. I'm just going to skip around. And here I have, there is a nest situated at this tree here that is close to the abode. You see here? This is right next to outside of the manhole. And this is the video excerpt that we have captured. You can see when the mother bird is there, looking very vigilantly at every one of us, even though we're not trying to harm them, but then she's ready to protect her baby birds. On May 10th this year, on the Mother's Day, we celebrate and we want to forward our gratitude to the mother for giving this birth to us. It's the same thing. We look at this here, right here, right in front of me. I was not conscious of this little thing. There was a newborn baby mouse somehow appeared right next to our dining hall. I don't even know how this happened. So when I came across to it, I almost dropped it, or I almost put it in the toilet. Garbage can, because I thought it looks like a piece of a beef jerky or something like that. And I was wondering, how can this thing happen in our dining hall or close to it? Then when I touch it, it started to move, and I almost dropped it on the floor. Again, I just wanted to share with you how mindful it is, how important it is for us to be very mindful of everything we do and all the lives that are around us. There's no difference between us, and this little mice, this new baby born mouse, and also the bird or any other animals. I believe if there's something that we do that can bring thousands and thousands of benefits to us, would you do it? I'm sure you will want to do it. It's just because you don't know it, that's why you don't want to do it, or you haven't done it yet. And again, I want to tell you, just by being a vegetarian, take up this vegetarian diet will bring you thousands and thousands of merits and blessings and positive affinities, because you eliminate from killing, you eliminate from forming the habitual tendency of killing and brutal mind or the desire or a callous way of taking lives away, and the same thing to form good affinities with all sentient beings. So I'm sorry that I'm not able to share with you everything I have prepared, but then I hope I am able to somehow bring myself a little closer to you with my personal experience. And it will make it